Hi all, we're going to do some tapestry crochet and we're gonna follow a chart that I made. I made it on Stitch Fiddle, and as you can see, it gives you rows in numbers. So here's, for example, row number 1. All the odd ones are on this side, all the even ones on this, and the same for the columns. And it's very easy to follow a grid to start your work. So I chose to make a grid of 15 by 15, which will be approximately the size of a coaster. I'm going to start with the white color, but I decided to do it in pink because it doesn't look like I have a lot of this cream left. So we're going to start with pink, and we're going to chain 16 so that we can make 15 stitches. So I made a slip knot and I'm going to chain 16 to make my chains, and that does not count as any rows. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that makes 16. So now I have 16 chains, and I'm going to make my first row on the grid, which is this first row, which is all in the same color. So there will be no color changing. It's just going to be a row. Starting on the second chain from the hook, I'm going to start with my first single and work my way down. So I've come to the end of my row. I'm now going to chain 1 and turn, and I will look at my graph and see what I need to do. So on my graph, my second row is also still all in the same color, and you can see that the number 2 is on the left side, so that's our even side, and we're going to make the exact same amount of stitches. The most important thing here is really counting your stitches and making sure that you have the right amount and that you start in the right space. So here we chained 1, and our first V up top here is where our first stitch is going to be. So, and the other thing that you need to take into account when you're doing tapestry crochet is that your tension is really, really nice and tight, that your stitches are close together. I think if you're a loose crocheter, I think that's the hardest thing to learn when you're doing tapestry crochet, because that makes the shapes and the colors come out better when you do it nice and tight. I think I did my first row a little loose, but this should fix it. So I'm almost here at the end, and again I'm going to finish off my last stitch. There's my second row, and I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And this is where it's going to get interesting, because this is where we're going to add in our cream color. So on the grid you can see row 3. I'm going to be making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches in my pink, and then I'm going to change to my color, to my white, for the tip of my heart. So I'm going to do 7 stitches, and then I'm going to do my color change. So again, make sure that you start in that very first stitch there. And we're going to count to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is my 7th stitch, and this one I am not going to finish. This is where I'm going to add on my cream color. I'm just going to pull this through as if I would be finishing this stitch, like so. And this is where I can you can tighten the pink a little bit to make sure that your cream is there. I'm gonna leave the tail off to the side, and I'm going to make my first stitch here. But what I'm doing on the back is I'm holding my pink here. I'm holding it so that I can work over that yarn. So I'm putting my needle through, and you see the pink is there. I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and because this is just one stitch, I'm going to have to finish this and change to the other color and finish the stitch like so. And as you can see, let me just do another stitch here. As you can see, that is one complete single crochet in that cream color. And that is what the back looks like. So we're going to leave this hanging, and we're going to work this in at the end. And now we're going to continue our 7 stitches. We already did 1, so 6 more stitches in the pink. So I'm going to pick up on the next stitch, I'm going to pick up the cream here. So my 4th row is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches in the pink, 3 in the cream, and another 6 stitches in the pink. So I'm going to turn my work and do 6 stitches. When I get to the 6th stitch, I have to remember not to finish here we are, not to finish it, but I'm going to place my pink yarn to the front, and I'm going to pick up my white yarn. And I'm going to pull it through as if I would be finishing that stitch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work over the pink yarn so that I can move it over to where I'm going to need it. My next stitch is going to be in the cream color, like so. And I'm just working over my pink yarn. And now is the 3rd stitch, which I'm not going to finish in the cream. I'm going to move my cream to the front and switch to the pink and finish off that stitch like so. And I'm going to leave that cream hanging because I'll need it for the next row, and work my way to the end. And chain 1 and turn. And there we have our first 2 rows. So now I'm ready for row 12, and row 12 is going to be 3 pink, 4 cream, 1 pink, 4 cream, and 3 pink. So chain 1, turn my work. I'm going to do 3 pink, 1, 2, and we're not going to finish this one. We're going to move our pink yarn to the front, pick up our cream, and we're going to do 4 creams. So finish off this, and I'm going to hold my pink here and make my first cream. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is where I have 1 single pink stitch. So I'm going to move the cream to the front, finish off that stitch, pull my cream to the front here, make my 1 pink stitch, change my yarns again. This is a bit of a fiddle, but it's good practice, I guess. So now I've done my 1 pink stitch, and now I'm going to do 4 more creams, all working over the yarn so that it doesn't hang loose. 3 and 4, and now I change back to the pink, and I'm gonna drop my cream. Hang on, let's just untangle this so I don't, and we're gonna do three pinks. 1, 2, and 3. There we have it. Our heart is starting to really come together. There's 1 more row on the heart, and then we can snip off that cream color. So there we have. So the next row is the 13th row, which is going to be 4 pink, 2 cream, 3 pink, 2 cream, and 4 pink. And then we've actually finished the heart part. The heart part. So 4 pink, did I chain 1? Nope. So 4 pinks, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to switch to the cream, finish off this stitch, and make 2 cream stitches. We're not going to finish off that second one because that's the second one. Switch back to the pink. We're going to make 3 pinks. Don't forget to work over your yarn. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to switch back to the cream for 2 stitches. 1 and 2, 2, and we're going to finish off with the pink. 1, 2, don't need that cream there. 3, 4, and 5. And at this point we don't need the cream anymore, so we can actually cut off the cream and get rid of that piece. We can leave that hanging for now, but there that is. So now it basically, the pattern says, is to do 2 more rows of the pink, 15 stitches each, and then we're good. We finished our square. So chain 1 and turn. We're going to finish off all of these stitches. If you find that your tension is too loose, you could go down a crochet hook, because then you'll be forced to make your stitches tighter. And there we go. So that's the front, and this is the back, and this is where I've left my cream pieces hanging, and these I will be able to weave these in to the cream work, so you will not notice them. But it's really the front of the piece that matter. But I like to have the, if there's a possibility that the back shows at some point, because they're coaster, I'll use this as a coaster, then I want to have that as neat as I can. It's nice that this little project is symmetrical, so you don't have to think too much about what the grid says and the counting. Once you start doing more difficult shapes, it's a lot more counting and getting things right. But there you have the front of the work. We finished our entire heart. As you can see, I did it a little bit too loose here at the bottom, so it kind of waves, but I will make a border around it, and hopefully that will correct it. I think that's one of the easiest ways to kind of fix your tapestry, by making a border. So basically the way that you would make a border is just chain one, and as you can see on this side where we did all our chain ones and turn, there are little holes in the work, and that is where I'm going to make my stitches. So here's a hole, here, 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 here. I'll just show you how that works so that you have an idea. And that's going to finish it off really nice. So that should give you 15 single crochets on the side, because there's 15 rows. And you just need to find those little holes, and they're quite easy to work into. And we'll just do that all the way around. Let's see, I'm getting to the beginning of my work where my tail is from my chain row. I will chain one, and then I will just work across my chain row, and I will make sure that I go over this tail so that I don't have to weave that in. The less you have to weave in, the better. So at each corner, I'm just chaining one, and I'm just continuing on each side. So that will give you 15 stitches on each side of your work. So I will meet you back at the beginning, and I'll show you how I weave in my ends, because I think that could be helpful. So we finished off all four sides. We made a border, and I'm going to cut my yarn here. And I'm going to do an invisible join. So I'm going to So here is my final stitch. I'm going to skip this one here. I'm going to go through two pieces there, and I'm going to come back up to my final stitch, and I'm going to go through the two V's at the top. and pull that through, and that's it. And that gives you another V there, and you cannot see where I joined. And now we're just gonna weave this in to this top row. So I'm going to go through all of these stitches, this back stitches, and then come back and then cut it off. So through all the little V's. And then go back. Always skip one loop and then go back through, and that secures the yarn. That's that. And cut that off. And that's your tail worked in. And now we're going to work on these tails here. I left them a little bit short. I wasn't thinking. You could leave it a little longer if you want. But all we're going to do is work it. So we're going to work through this row here, these 4 stitches. I'm going to work under all the V's. Pull it through. And then we're going to go back. Now my yarn is too short, so what I do in this case is I put my needle through as if I would be working through the way I want to go. I set it up, and then I push, then I thread the yarn into the needle, and then all I have to do is pull. There you have it. So one more piece here. Again, it's a little bit tight, so I'm going to put my needle through first. Trying to make it so it won't show at the front. And then always make sure that you go back, because that makes it so that it won't come loose or you won't have ends popping out. So there's a little trick that I like to use. I'm going to make sure that all my ends are nicely snipped off. And I may have to block this a little bit because the sewing, well, actually looks quite square. So there you have your first little tapestry coaster. This is the front of the work that we did, and then the back of the work that we did. And I think it turned out really, really sweet. So I hope you give this a try, that you follow tips. If you have any questions, put them in the description. I will be following up this video with some more tips and tricks on tapestry, because I really gave you the most basic way of doing tapestry here. But I hope you keep an eye out for that next video, and see you soon. Bye.